Hey, this is Allie Edwards, and I am here today to give you a walkthrough of my completed 2016 December daily album. I love pulling these albums out at the beginning of each kind of new December season or coming upon the season as a way to get myself ready to create some of my base foundation pages for the new year. So I have started work on my 2017 and my foundation pages for 2017, and I'll be sharing those here soon. But for right now, I wanted to go ahead and just give you a full video overview. For those of you that were around last year, I shared these pages as I finished them on my blog throughout the entire season. So each one has, I think the majority of them have their own day as blog posts. Now there's also a variety of video overviews, pretty much I think one for each day as well, both on my blog and on my YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and dive in and take a look at what I created with last year. And I'll just kind of talk you through some of the things as well. I started with a transparent page where I adhered a gold star. This is actually embossed gold on top of a wood veneer star. The majority of the products that I used in here were from the December daily kit for 2016. We have a new kit this year, new products available for 2017. So I'll be using mostly those in my upcoming album, along with some stash. I always use some things for my stash as well. Most years I start off with some sort of a reason why or an intention. I like to set an intention or establish a reason why for the beginning of my album each year, and each year it's been something different. Last year was a lot of kind of embracing a first Christmas where my blended family was all living under the same roof, and kind of the ups and downs of all the different things that went with that. So that was a lot of what I wrote on there. And then getting into day one here. Day one, I included a picture of each one of the kids in a 2x2 divided pocket with, again, just information writing about looking for joy is really, I think, what I wrote about on there. And like I said, my blog posts from last year, as well as my videos, go into way more detail, have all of the products linked there as well if there's something specific that you were looking for. The back then became part of day two, and I just added a variety of different things on there. I've got a little pocket that I punched holes to be able to write a little note to Simon on this one, just embossed the stamped word traditions, a little note to him, a message to him about advent calendars. This was the second day that they were opening advent calendars here in the house. Day three, my story was about embracing the mess and the reality of the season. This lift up idea was something that Brandy Kincaid did last year that I loved, and so I went ahead and did that for myself as well. A lot of the stories, or my focus in these albums, is to do one story per day. So sometimes it's something like this. It's just embracing the mess of the season. And I cut down the page protectors over here to be able to have a half page for my day three using a big, large number 3 cork piece. This is embossed, stamped and embossed on the back. Day four was just talking about holiday cheer, getting out some Playmobil sets that we have that we bring out each Christmas or each December season. The fifth day was when we took our Christmas card photo, and so that was fun, and I talked a little bit about that. Day 6 here, this one's like Christmas with You, a story about Anna and how she wanted to do a video, and it was super funny, and she was recording herself talking about how she loves hot chocolate. I'm just looking for stories to include, looking for things to write about, and sometimes they're totally holiday related, and other times they are just everyday life related. So I cut, this is a reduced size page protector as well, and I added washi tape along the outside edge and then went ahead and stamped it just to make sure it stayed in place. And you can see I use a lot of Avery index tabs as well. They just make turning the pages really easy. This is actually the QR code of Anna talking, and so what I had done, now that I'm remembering it, is it was her story on this side and then my story on the other side of her recording this, so I can use a QR reader on my phone to listen to her saying that last year. One of my favorite ones that I did last year was using this pocket page and making a bunch of tags, and these were tags that then said what people wanted for Christmas. So I had each one of the kids write or draw what they wanted, and the tags had a front and a back. These will be super fun to look at. Here's Simon, all I want is money. That's what he had. And I had them write their ages on there, and I did one for me too. Aaron and Never filled his out, so we have his there. Elliot, and then Isaac too. So fun to see kind of what everybody wrote. I did a little circle on the front with gold embossing powder. Again, I think is what, yeah, just an embossed circle on that one side. I love how that's turned out. I'll probably do some version of that again this year. It's just a fun tactile way to document something very specific, you know, to our family and the things that people wanted. Using the digital layered templates that I make available each year. This one says be of good cheer, and it was the school was canceled that day and they were hanging out at home because we had freezing rain. This is a very old number 8 that I had in my stash. So the 8 goes with this page. The 9 over here is just for our Christmas card. So some days, you know, that's like, it doesn't have to be super complicated. This, obviously, this is one day. This is done on the computer with Photoshop, printed out. I'm good to go. Punch holes in this. That was an easy day 8. Day 9 then ended up having our actual Christmas card in here with a bunch of the outtakes. I printed those out in 2x2s to be able to add those in because they were pretty funny, and I know that we will love looking at them in the future as well. Day 10, I did what joy is right now around the house and just went around and took pictures of different things that I felt like were bringing me joy. Let's see, quiet house. I usually do something about how it's kind of quiet too. Doing wrapping. This one goes over with this side here. You can see that I took this photo and cut it in half so that it would fit in those 2 pockets. Just using simple patterns with the stars, and then using the cards from the kits to be able to kind of dictate what story you're going to tell. I love that, and definitely this year in the main kit for 2017, I really kept that in mind when we were designing the cards, thinking about how can we make the cards really simple and easy jumping off points for the stories that you might want to tell. Then I usually do something about work because this is a super busy time of the year in December for me, so I wrote a little bit about what that looked like, how I stand on my table. Next up, for day 13, I wrote a little bit about my parents and being with my parents, and an email that I got from my mom. So I like to include voices from other people whenever possible. Email from her with a picture that she had sent us about some crab that they bought down where they live on the Oregon coast. Let's see, this one, day 14, is just a really sweet little picture of Anna from her school talking about the elf, and it was something that, you know, a project that she had written for school, and rather than, you know, this is a big thing that was hanging on the bulletin board in her school, I wouldn't be able to include that whole thing in the album, so taking a picture of something that you might want to include and then printing it to the 6x8 size. I'm such a fan of these full page photos. I will be doing lots of those again this year, I'm sure. Last year we had a major freezing ice storm, and so big picture of the backyard. We lost, actually this whole tree ended up dying a couple months later. Super damaging, but wrote about that, did the journaling directly onto the photo for day 15. Day 16, again, is a photo of an ornament that's actually hanging in the tree there. And then, let's see, I think that was kind of the end of what I must have done for that one. And then this side, I believe, let's see if that was actually all 16, and if this is 17. Yeah, so I did 16. It was basically a spread, so it included this page with the ornament, and then coming over here, things that I'm giving thanks for in December. This is a digital file that you can go ahead and print out. It's a 3x8. Those templates are still available in the shop. And then I just had a picture of 3 of the kids over here with the big gratitude card, one of the ones that was from last year. These circles were from last year as well. Then on day 17, I talked about going up to Aaron's parents and visiting them, and including a couple of other pictures from that experience. They're visiting, which was super fun. And day 18, a little bit of a story about putting up the lights, talking about how thankful I am to have Aaron here to help put up the lights, and how, you know, I have memories of a few years ago of doing it by myself, and just the kind of the evolution of our overall story here is what's reflected in this album as well. One of my favorite pictures I took last year is the kids all hanging out on this couch that we have in a space where our house has been in transition this past year, and so there's lots of stuff in an area that would regularly hold like a big dining table. And so I like anytime I can get all 5 of them in one picture, I love that. So it's just day 19 looked a whole lot like this. This page then was built on a transparency. I did a little bit of journaling on this one that I ended up having 2 pages. So the 19 is here underneath. This tag is adhered on top, just kind of building tags on top of each other there. Day 20, then the tag sizes are repeated on the back. And I love to include kids' artwork whenever possible. And so this is one, that Audrey drew, and she used one of the stamps last year, and she used some of the wood trees that we had included in the kit, so I wrote about that here, and also took pictures of these other little cat ornaments that she had made, which might be hard to see on there for day 20. For day 21, we've got a story about going to basketball. It's one of the things that we loved to do last year and doing again is going to University of Oregon basketball games. So a nice collage of circles there as well. 22, a story about just getting ready for Christmas and kind of the basic things that were going on. I mean, I'm talking about, you know, it's just Aaron and I on these couple of days. We don't always have all of the kids here. So what was I doing on these days? And that's why some of these are just shorter stories. Like this day 23 is starting to get ready, right? Getting ready for Christmas. No kids here. What kind of prep work are we doing? And those are the things that I talked about in the stories there. 24, doing a puzzle here. That was just Aaron and I again. So Christmas Eve by ourselves, waiting for the kids to come back the next day. So just, you know, again, taking advantage of any opportunity to do those big full page photos, which is the stuff of our life, right? Those are the kinds of things that I want to include in there. Pattern papers are awesome. You know, other things can be really cool in there, but I like when I can make these pages enlargements of what's actually happening in our own lives. And it can be a close-up, you know, it doesn't have to show the whole thing. It can be pieces of the whole as well. Then I did 10 things. This is from the 24th, I think, too. Actually, this is actually 10 things from the 25th. So included what our breakfast was, more puzzle time, you know, waiting for the kids to arrive, that kind of thing, and just the quietness of that early Christmas morning time for us without kids here. So depending on your season of life and where your family's at and all those kinds of things, your story may look different from year to year on these different days. So that was kind of the morning, and then did more about actual Christmas days, some of the favorites from each person, what their favorite thing was. I included that. And then I included basically a few words that kind of brought it all to a close, talking about what Christmas was like what was the actual day of Christmas like in that time period, including a few more photos as well, you know, excitement and movement. We've got one kid jumping, we've got the rest of them looking at some music equipment that we got, that kind of stuff there as well. Oh, and there's a picture, just I slipped that in the back. I don't always finish up with something super official. So looking back on this, I love these albums. Like every time I go back through them, I just am so happy to have them, so happy to have taken the time to put them together, to get all of these words in there about what our Christmases look like. Many of you guys know that my Christmases, you know, 6 and 7 years ago looked a lot different than they look now, and I have a record of that. I have a record of what I was thankful for before, what I'm thankful for now, and this year will look different again, even, you know, with the same group of people. The weather will potentially be different, or the thoughts and the feelings will be different. It's one of the things that I love about this project, and I love for me that there's a beginning and an end. As you can see, I start on the 1st and I go to the 25th and then I'm done. I don't do anything before or anything after really in terms of additional documentation. For me, this is enough to capture the season. But anyway, it's so fun to look back on this, and thanks for taking the time to listen to this overview. Just a couple of updates for you. If you would like to see more of my past projects, you should check out my Storytelling with December Daily workshop. That will be available again on November 1st. That actually goes with video overviews like I just did here over all of my past 10 or so albums. Like all the other albums that I've done prior to this one are included in there as overviews, where you can hear me talking about what I've learned over the years in this process. So that is one option. The other option we have this year for workshops, I did a new workshop that is available now that starts on November 1st, but you can register now, and it's called Product Play. And in that class, I am focusing on hearts and stars and circles and different ways to create foundation pages for your December Daily using those shapes as a jumping off point to tell your stories. So if you're interested in that, I will link those below as well. And I hope you guys have a great holiday season. Again, all of these pages are individually documented under the December Daily category on my blog, as well as via video on my YouTube channel. Thanks so much.